Hey everyone, it's Katerina with Meat Fueled Living, and welcome to the channel. It has been a long time since I've actually done a live coffee carnivores and questions. So great to have everybody here. I actually do have a guest on today. I have been on her channel a couple of times, and she has actually honored me with her presence to come to mine. So it's Christy with Meeting Wellness. Go ahead and grab your cup of coffee, cup of tea, whatever it is that you are drinking right now, and come on in. We're going to just sit down and have a chat and have a great time. So let me go ahead and pull Christy in.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to the channel, and thank you for coming on and being my first video since I've come back starting to do YouTube again. Nothing's going on with me. I'm still doing the carnivore diet. Everything is wonderful. I have just been remodeling my house on myself.
So, that's an undertaking. Yep,
and I work full time. So when I get off of work, I'm doing those type of things, and it's just been really, really busy. But I am here, and I am so happy that you are my first video back on. So if everybody doesn't know, I'm sure everybody knows Christy by now, but she actually has her own channel, Meeting Wellness and the Lioness Lifestyle. So I'm going to go ahead and let Christy introduce herself and talk a little bit about how she started on the carnivore journey, and then we'll just kind of segue off of there.
Sounds good. So as Kat said, I'm Christy and my channel is at Meeting Wellness. And I started, I would say, the proper human diet, though not carnivore, but I started keto back in February of 2023 because I had gained and lost the same 20 pounds, like way more times than I can count. So I'm 48 years old now, in that yo-yo dieting, 20 pounds up, 20 pounds down cycle started when I was in high school. So, a good over 30 years of just doing that. And, I did it the way that we all were told to do it, right? Don't eat fat, exercise more, try to eat less. And the amount of restricting that I was doing became pretty extreme. And I would obsessively count calories and all of that. And, it would get to the point where I would be eating so few calories and still not be losing any weight because I'm very sure my metabolism was all messed up. And then later, after a few years of doing that, I did hear about more, like, I think I heard about Atkins, but, true to form, this was still before the internet and you couldn't really look stuff up. And I just kind of heard about it, through the grapevine. I'm with you, Rich. The standard American diet totally sucks. Okay. Sorry. I saw him in there. I agree 100%. Yeah, I was very sick on the standard American diet, but I didn't even realize that until I got off of it. So I'll get into that in a minute. But so yeah, I tried Atkins, but like I didn't know any of the things. So I was doing like net carbs for sure. I didn't buy all the stuff, but for sure, like the shakes, at one point, and that kind of stuff. Cause I had no idea about seed oils or, Dr. Berry or any of it. I was just doing my thing. And then I didn't even know about a carb number. It was just like minimized carbs, that kind of thing. And again, I lost that weight too, but I'm pretty sure it was more still calories than anything else. And then I just kind of stayed low carb ish, but again, not really knowing anything and still kind of gaining and losing because I'd restrict to a point and then I would eat all the Oreos or all the ice cream or chips or whatever, put the weight back on. And then one day look at the scale and go, oh, no. Right. And then go again. So in February of last year, it was again with the 20 pounds. And I was like, all right, what could I try that I haven't tried? And I basically heard the word keto, right? That's like the bacon diet. That's bacon and avocado diet. That's what I knew about keto. But I was like, well, I haven't tried it. So let me try it, And so I joined a couple of actually keto Facebook groups because I learned about Facebook groups when we all had to teach online from home. I'm a teacher and I had to teach online from home. And at that time I joined Facebook groups because they just sent us home and said, teach something and use your computer to do it, with like no guidance, no instructions, no how-tos, no lessons, no curriculum, just figure it out. And so the teachers figured it out and then we kind of shared with each other. So that's kind of how I learned about, Facebook groups and online communities. So I joined a couple for keto, and very quickly, like, somebody mentioned Dr. Berry. And that's when I just dove in. I think I had been doing keto for maybe a week. And I just dove into that, head first, because you start watching those videos and you're like, wait, what? Wait,
Yeah.
what? And then, right. And then,
More
so
so
I just,
for me, but yeah.
yeah. And by then I know he was like doing more carnivore, but because I was keto, I had searched keto. So he has a keto playlist. So I
Right.
hadn't really learned anything about carnivore. I was just basically on my computer was his keto playlist, which has over 100 videos. And I was just like going down that keto playlist, right? And so I definitely did keto like appropriately. I learned about 20 total carbs, and I really tracked. I used a carb manager app and to keep those carbs under control. But again, I was tracking and having to keep them under control. But I did lose the 20 pounds, right? That was what I came in for. Like I came for the weight loss, and I got it, and I was feeling, happy about that. And then in June, so wow, 3 months after that, I was just lazy, right? Like I didn't want to cook a steak and a veg. So I'll just leave off the veg and have a little extra steak. It wasn't intentional for me to go carnivore like at all. It was just, I've always liked steak even before any of this. And so it was just like, I don't really feel like the zucchini or the broccoli or the whatever. Don't feel like making it. Don't feel like eating it. So I'm just not gonna. And then the next thing I noticed is, my son had gotten invited to like an amusement park with a friend that I didn't know. And that would have seemed like hell on earth for me to go to something like that. But I just said, well, you can go, but I need to go with you because I don't know this family. And I wasn't nervous and I wasn't worried. And I was, and so here I go, to this amusement park, feeling totally fine being around all those people. And prior to that, I wouldn't even want to like go outside and take a walk because people might see me. They might look at me. They might think I look weird. I for sure had a case of social anxiety that I didn't even realize I had until it was like it went away and the situation just came up and I was like, sure, let's go. Like, and I was like, as long as their family's okay with it, I'm okay with it. Like, we'll stay out of your way. But yeah, so I spent a whole day at an amusement park full of people, strangers, and talking to strangers. And on top of that, it was both of them. It was the mom and the dad, and it was just me. So it was like, 2 against 1. But I was totally fine. Like the whole day. I had no anxiety. I had no anxiety about like parking, walking, figuring out where stuff, like none of that, just nothing. It was just a fun day. And it was from there that I started noticing all these other benefits starting to happen. Like my acne went away. I had what I think was probably arthritis in my right hand from all the writing as a teacher on the whiteboard and all of that. Went away. Like my hand doesn't ache anymore, the joints in that hand. And just, some things like that. There's a list of them. And it was like, so then I started looking it up, like, what is this carnivore thing? I mean, I didn't even know the word for it, but I was like, I'm just eating meat. Like, is that a thing? And then I was like, yeah, it's a thing. And I think that's where all my other benefits kind of kicked in when I got rid of the last of those vegetables. So it's not like I have autoimmune or, any really serious stuff like that, but it was the mental health, the brain fog, and then even a few like annoying physical things. Like I said, my hand, my knee would ache, my right knee, things like that. My sleep got better just because, and that was just stuff that I attributed to, well, I'm in my late 40s. So I'm just getting older and that's just what happens, And so I decided to stick with it, Kat. I decided to stick with it. And so here I am almost a year later. I don't know my carniversary because it just kind of accidentally happened. But in June at some time, I will have been carnivore for a year. Yeah, sometime in June. So
you're coming up on your carniversary then.
Yes, I'm very excited about that. And I still, although I've done some tweaks here and there, and we can talk about that if you want to get into it. But yeah, I haven't strayed. Yeah, I'm energized for life. I feel great, better than I did in my 20s, probably because in my 20s I wasn't eating. but here I am, a couple years from 50, just feeling better than I did in my 20s. So
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So we had the always happens every time you are on. Picanha comes up, which
Eric, I ate picanha today.
My Walmart has it now. I have been able to get it. And at one time I was a little greedy. I went, they had some of them and I bought like there was 4. I bought 3 of the 4
Yeah.
because I was like, they never have it. They never have it. And now every time I go, they have it. So I'm so happy. I have some in my freezer. I just put some in a pellet smoker the other day, and picanha, always picanha. I love it.
How is that in the smoker like that? Talk to me.
It was delicious. It was.
Okay.
I'm not really all that good with this type of stuff because vegetarians don't smoke. I mean, I guess you could.
Right.
So when I first hooked it up and stuff, it was like all this smoke was barreling out of it, and it felt like the house was on fire. And I'm like, is this normal? And it was horrible. It was a hot mess. But after it calmed down, and then I got the picanha in there, it came out so good. It was.
Sounds really delicious. I don't have a smoker, but I use Redmond smoke salt on it. So it gives it a little bit of that. I mean, I know it's not the same, but that's the only salt I'll use. Normally I don't use the smoked salt, but on the picanha I do. And it's just delicious.
See, I like their smoked salts, and I actually have, I think, all of their varieties, but their new one or newish one, the apple pecan one, that one's been my favorite so far.
I haven't tried that one. I'll have to get some off of your recommendation.
Yes. So tell us, and you can talk about how you've tweaked it in the end of it. Like, what does a typical day of eating look like for you now? And then, of course, how you've tweaked things to go with, what's working best for you right now.
Okay. So yeah, in the last few weeks, I've tweaked things. I don't know, like I've just kind of turned the fat knob down just a touch. So I think everybody has their own amount of fat that their body likes. And I like the fat. Like some people don't want to eat the fat. Like I think you said when you first, because coming off of being vegetarian, you were like, I love it. Like I've always, when I have a ribeye, I'm always like, I would always eat all the fat. Like I love it. I've never had that problem. But in the last few weeks, I've turned that knob down, and we can talk about why. But a typical day right now for me looks like I've really upped my picanha because it is lean. It's a sirloin, but it has that fat cap on it, so I don't feel like I'm giving up the fat because there's that big, line of fat there on the end, and it is the tastiest part for sure. And I try to get a little bit of that with each bite. And then I've added in more eggs.
I'm a big egg eater.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was eating eggs mostly every day, but then some days I wouldn't, and I eat like 2 or 3. And now I'm eating like 4 to 6 eggs, and for sure every day. And if I'm taking them to work, I'll just either hard boil them or, scramble them and then take them to work like that. On top of that, I'll have occasional chicken. That's not changed, but I have occasional chicken, but I buy pasture raised on the chicken, and which I'll just do like the chicken thighs with the skin on, bone and skin on, and just do those in the air fryer. And then I'm still doing ribeyes, but I cut, like I was doing a lot of ribeyes. I get them on sale when I get them, and then I put them in my freezer, so I always have ribeyes. And I was doing ribeyes maybe 4 to 5 days a week because I love them. But now I've really just kind of replaced that with picanha and then kept everything else the same. And the reason for that, although I am, I guess, the picanha president, I've kind of been dubbed that. It's kind of a joke a little bit on my channel. But the reason for that is after going carnivore, not right away. It was June, July, August, September, October. In October, my weight started to slowly creep back up. And I was really just eating, intuitively, like many people, and there's this debate, right? Should we track? Should we not track? And you hear both sides of that, right? So I had totally stopped tracking and was just eating intuitively. I never ate off plan or anything like that. But I eat 2 meals a day. So I would eat like a ribeye. That'd be like my bigger meal. And then when I say a ribeye, we're talking, it'd be like 1.25 pounds, but there's a bone in there. I never weighed it though. So I don't know how much that bone weighs because I wasn't tracking. Right. And I can eat that whole thing, like no problem. Like some people will go, are you going to eat all that? Sure am. Like I don't have a problem putting away a good amount of food. And then I'd have like whatever, like eggs and maybe a little salmon. I was trying to incorporate some salmon, even though I don't like it, for my other meal. But yeah, the weight just crept back on until I gained the whole 20 pounds back. And then I was like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it didn't worry me at first. I was like, weight fluctuates. You hear people talk about I went on carnivore and gained weight because I was healing. You hear people say, well, as you're going into winter, you might put on some weight. Like it was October, right? So we're like heading into that season. And of course, in October, it was just like a couple pounds, right? The problem is in November, it was a couple more. And then just, that was the problem. So it was definitely until the whole 20 pounds came back on. And before the whole 20 came back on, it was like I started trying all this stuff, including adding weights. I've always been exercising. I do sprints. I do some weighted hula hoop. I've done a plank challenge, push-ups, things like that, kind of off and on, squats. But I incorporated weights, like heavy for me, right? Weights. And I even started like looking at my macros and not tracking like calories, but like trying to get the macros. Like Coach Bronson, I interviewed him and he gave me some advice and I tried following that. And I really stuck to it strictly for 6 weeks, like nothing, like the weight didn't budge and it was getting frustrating. But then at the same time, I'm not technically overweight. Like that's what, so I'm like, is this just vanity? Like, does my body just want to be this weight? It's just a whole kind of mind game, and especially when you spent 30 years or whatever of your life obsessed about the scale, obsessed about calories, but I still, all my mental health and all that was still there, right? So all the other benefits besides weight, I was still good on. So yeah, just I heard a video. This is what like people told me, maybe lower your fat, but they didn't say it like Kelly Hogan said it. So Kelly Hogan, I watched a video of hers and where she was talking about how she lost her last 20 pounds. And she's talking about how, you hear, and that's the other thing too. I do watch a lot of carnivore content and you hear like all this about under eating. I'm like, I don't know what that means for me. Like, am I under eating? Am I overeating? Like, what does that even mean? I don't know what's too much or too little for me. Maybe I'm eating too much. I don't know. It's just very confusing because you hear advice everywhere. But Kelly Hogan was talking about this last 20 pounds and she was like, I am a volume eater. And I just went, I think I'm a volume eater too, because I'll eat in front of people and they'll literally say like other carnivores, like, you're eating all of that? And I'm like, yeah.
When I was on vacation, one time they were like, do you want to fly home with a refrigerator hanging under the plane? And I'm like, yeah, I do.
Yes, I do. And so Kelly Hogan said she's a volume eater. And so the way that she, that makes her satiated. She doesn't want to sit there and eat like one burger patty. Like I don't either. If I'm busting out the burger patties, I'm at least having 3 and probably a couple of eggs. I'm not just going to eat one.
Right.
I don't feel good. I don't feel satiated. I'm looking for more after one.
Yeah.
And so she talked about the way that she can do that and like lose this 20 pounds one of the things anyways, lose this 20 pounds and maintain it. And is to eat just a little bit lower fat, like not low fat, just lower fat. And so she recommended the chicken thighs with the skin on, for example. Like you can eat a whole plate of those because it's just a little bit leaner or whatever. And then she probably gave a beef recommendation, but I don't even remember because, in my mind, I'm like, picanha, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the ribeyes away for a while and just do picanha. So that's kind of what I did. And I've been taking like picanha bites for lunch and eating that. And I'm able to eat quite a volume of food, feel satiated, but I have lost 8 pounds in the last 3 weeks.
Oh.
So I'm like, I think that's what it was.
And the fat, maybe,
yeah. And then I also started incorporating walking.
Oh.
So I've been walking like 4 to 5 days a week. It's not stressful. It's just like a medium pace walk. And I just take off and I'll walk anywhere from 3 to 5 miles. It's not tiring. I don't get sweaty. It's just movement. And I try to do it either at sunrise, like today is a weekend, and yesterday I went at sunrise. That's my favorite because I'm kind of a morning person.
Yeah.
But on days when I'm teaching, I can't do that because at the time when I could actually get out to walk, it's still dark and I don't feel A, safe doing that, and B, I'm not getting the benefit of seeing the sunrise anyway. So I do it at sunset on those days. So yeah, between the walking and the just lower that fat, and my fat is still 75%. It's still 75% fat, 25% protein, of course, because I put them in just so I could see what it was into Carb Manager. And that's about what it comes out to be. And yeah, the weight just, I will see where it goes from here. Like I'm in the middle of it now, but I feel much better. I'm back down into my smallest size, instead of, because I had to go up a size, and I'm back down, and then, yeah, we'll see. But I tried a bunch of stuff and it was just getting really frustrating. So I'm glad that I think I figured it out and I can still enjoy, because those are things I super enjoy. And so I'm not giving up anything, and I'm not having to feel hungry after a meal or
so calorie. Do you think that is the movement or the cat was in my lap and I have cat hair. Is it the movement or is it the reduction in fat? Is it both? I mean, did you notice the weight loss before you started walking, or?
So to be fair, I've done movement this whole time.
Okay.
So I do sprints, which are supposed to be really good for reducing visceral fat. Dr. Sean O'Mara is the guru on that. If you haven't checked him out, check it out. I love doing sprints because it doesn't take very much time and you do get a lot of benefits from that. So I was doing sprints. I was doing weightlifting 4 days a week. I had added that on. No weight came off, because supposedly if you build the muscle, it's going to help you, like, you're going to up your resting metabolic rate and all of that stuff. And like I said, I hadn't been walking, but I had been doing, like, I have a weighted hula hoop or planks, or like I've done some form of exercise since October. I started walking. So my exercise is just a little bit different. I still do some push-ups and things like that. And I need to get back to the weights. I got sick and I didn't lift, and then I need to, like, get back to it. But I'm not planning on cutting that out. But I can't say that I just added movement. I just changed movement. But I know when you're doing experiments, you're supposed to change one thing at a time. So I can't 100% tell you, but I can tell you when I was eating ribeyes, the higher fat and butter, adding butter and stuff, I did nothing but gain, even though I was moving.
And sometimes you need that high fat in the beginning, and then you can just kind of taper it off. Because I know for me in the beginning, I would be eating chunks of butter right off of but I'm also perimenopausal. So I feel like it was really helping with my menopausal symptoms. But over time, I stopped, like, craving it as much. Like before, I would just go eat the butter chips or the whatever. And I have noticed some of my menopause symptoms are coming back, so I might need to adjust it. I think it's just a fine line. You just got to figure it out. And
yeah. And I'm not opposed to high fat, and some people do better on that. I just think everyone that says it's like N equals 1 and all that, I just 100% agree. And I'm in that boat with you. I feel like I do probably have some thyroid things and I'm 48, so perimenopause things that the high fat can help with. But I think if and I'm not, like, cutting out ribeyes forever. I'm just, like, minimizing them. And I'm hoping to lose the other 13 pounds. And then I might start incorporating a ribeye, like, once a week, or do some bite butter occasionally, but for right now, this is the ticket, I think, to get me back down to, because like I said, it's not like I'm overweight, but it's like the weight that I feel confident at. That's the weight I want to be,
Absolutely. So, what do you think? So for you, like for me, my case be completely different as a vegan going over to carnivore. But for you, who wasn't that crazy strict of something, what do you think was the most surprising aspect that you've noticed since starting the carnivore diet?
Like I said, and I can go into it a little bit deeper, I'm an introvert. For sure I am. Like, after this, I'm going to go curl up on the couch for a minute and just, like, get my energy back. So we introverts,
How many spoons in are we?
Yeah. It's not that we don't like people, because we do. But we get our energy back by kind of recharging on our own, right? And just, like, chilling out for a bit on our own, and we're happy in our own company and things like that. I like curling up on the couch with my cat. Speaking of cats, and I enjoy that. But oh my gosh, it was just like, I'm an introvert, and that's why I don't even want to go to the grocery store. And I'm an introvert, and that's why I don't even want to go to this family gathering. Like, it was it wasn't introvertedness. It was social anxiety. I would turn down invitations for things, or I would accept them and then find a way to get out of it, like a way to get out of it that wouldn't make them feel bad, like I was ditching them. Oh, I was ditching them. I didn't want to be there. It made me. I was like, I don't want to be around all these people. And it got worse slowly because I don't think I was like that in high school. Like I played sports and but yeah, it was to the point that I was like, I could go to work because I had to make money, and then I would come home and that's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything else. If I had to do anything else, I hated it. I was anxious about it. I dreaded it. The whole time I was like, get me out of here. No matter what it was, even like I said, daily things like the grocery store, right? Like things that we all have to do. Like I was constantly worried about, it was because I thought other people were looking at me and thinking like, she looks weird. She looks gross. There's something, she didn't wash her hair. She doesn't have makeup on. Like she looks fat in that outfit, whatever, I just didn't want, I thought, and people don't care that much. Right. But I was really worried about it and thinking that that's what they were thinking. So I just wanted to get out of everybody's vision. Like I didn't want them to be able to see me. And now, like the other day, I want to make a short about it. So the other day I was out, it was actually yesterday morning, I was doing my walk. Sometimes when I do my walk, I incorporate my sprints, and it was chilly. It was like 47 degrees. So I had on like spaghetti strap tank top and like some capri leggings. Cause cold therapy, right? I'm not going to do a cold plunge, but I'll go out in the chilly weather and go do my walk. And so, yeah, I saw this guy walking his dog. Well, first of all, I didn't go like this or like turn the corner or walk a different way. And he spoke first and he like went like this, like, aren't you cold, And I was like, it's cold therapy. It's good for you. And then we just had this little conversation, and then I said, plus I'm doing sprints. And so it's keeping me warm or whatever. And then it was like, I just went on my way. I didn't have a second thought about it. Like that would have I would have tried to like, seriously, where can I go so that this guy doesn't talk to me? It was like a normal human interaction. I didn't feel nervous during it. I didn't feel like, okay, how'd that conversation go? Because that's the other thing is I would replay conversations in my head and think about what I should have said differently because I probably messed it up and probably like they're offended or whatever, And it was just, maybe I'll see him again because obviously we both walk. He has to walk his dog. So, but yeah, it was just like a normal human interaction. Then I just went on my way, and it's just night and day from where I was. And I think that's one of the most surprising things because I didn't research carnivore ahead of time. I didn't know like the mental health benefits for on the one side of it. And then on the other side of it, I didn't think that I had any mental health issues. Like I thought I was just fine and I was just an introvert and, and so, yeah, like I said, that day that I agreed to go to that amusement park, like that wasn't me. I would have just told my kid no. Like he would have missed out on a fun day just because I didn't want to send him with strangers, but I also would not have gone and done that.
Right.
So that was just a huge thing. And then because I already talked about that a little bit, I didn't know that I didn't know what inflammation was. Like I didn't know I didn't know that word until I got, into this way of eating. So even when I told you like, I mean, I'm 7 pounds back down now, but like, even when I was back up to my higher weights, my face, like I have a picture of myself. I don't have a lot of pictures. I'm not a big picture person, but I found a picture of myself from a couple years ago. So before I started doing this at that about the same weight, and my face looked so like round. And even when I had put it, like my face still didn't like, I'm just not holding on to all of that inflammation. So I'm very happy to know that even though it was just a few, for me, mild things like my ache in my hand, my knee, my acne, that's pretty much gone. And I didn't know that could be fixed,
That's amazing.
So it's just, yeah, I'm not looking back. Again, I just recently tweaked some things. I'm not against tweaking some things if the need arises, right? Like if I notice I'm not feeling optimal or whatever. But for me, it's full speed ahead. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what are some of the most common, I don't know, comments or criticisms that you get when you talk to us? Everybody always asks me this. So, just curious.
So many.
And then, how do you handle those at this point?
So where do I start? um,
Wherever.
so okay. So some people actually, surprisingly, when I went keto, my mom followed me like 2 months, maybe 6 weeks after I went keto. I think she saw me starting to lose some weight and she wanted to do the same. And so she's gotten her education like through me. So she doesn't watch YouTube, but I'm like, Mom, blah, 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 blah. And I tell her about, don't buy that sauce. There's seed oils in there and, all this stuff. And so, yeah, she's cut all that stuff out and she's doing it properly. So she didn't go carnivore, but she did go meat based keto, right? Like,
Kind of like
and she's
ketovore. Is that
yeah,
what-
like ketovore. You can call it ketovore. And she's happy there. And she's lost weight and she's 71 years old and her arthritis in her hands is gone. Now she's always been a generally healthy person. Like she's never been on medications or things like that. But she's for sure has more energy. In the last like 3 months, she's been to Greece. She went to Greece and then she went to Italy,
Wow.
like 2 separate trips at 71 years old, like by herself. Like, who
Wow.
are you right now? Like, who are you? Like, she's just living her best life and she's doing amazing. And so we talk about this stuff, all the time. And, things we eat, things we buy. If we see sales on something, meat or something somewhere, because we live about an hour apart. And so we tell each other and that's really cool. And because we both went keto together, she has nothing negative to say about carnivore. I think she realizes that it's just like a different part of the proper human diet spectrum, right? I think my brothers think I'm kind of nuts, but they just don't say, they're too nice to say anything. And my one brother did try carnivore in January because it was World Carnivore Month and he usually does a cleanse in January, he and his wife. And so they're like, we're going to try carnivore for January instead. But like, I don't even think my sister-in-law made it through January, but I don't think a month is long enough.
Mm.
So I think they were like having transition symptoms and she was like done. She was like, I'm done. And she doesn't have like weight problem or anything like that. And neither does my brother. He does rock climbing and very active and all that. So I don't think their why was big enough, I didn't ask my brother a lot about his experience, but yeah, I know after 3, she's like, I'm going to do like this many more days and then I'm done. Like she wasn't going to go till the end of January. And I think, so who knows what they think. I think my other brother absolutely thinks I'm completely bonkers, but he doesn't say anything, he just whatever. And then as far as like coworkers, my teacher, like partner, because we team teach together, she's kind of was low carb and she kind of went keto because of me and she learned how to read labels and she's lost all of her weight and she's doing fantastic. Other people around me just kind of, they're like, I mean, they listen to me, but like there's we have kind of 2 principals because there's the principal and then there's the after school program principal. She's not the assistant principal. She's the principal in charge of the after school program. And she's not vegetarian, but she's heavily plant-based, I would say. And she's just very skeptical, right? And I'm telling her all these things and she's just looking at me like, yeah, no. Yeah. And then I get people asking me, like my in-laws, very worried about my cholesterol. I get that question a lot. So how's your cholesterol? That's like the first question. Well, I am not the person to ask because I'm a lean mass hyperresponder. So my cholesterol looks, for people that believe in the standard cholesterol, because that they do, they think that that's, they just, what we've been taught all this time, that eating cholesterol makes you have higher cholesterol and then it's going to clog your arteries and you're going to die. So my doctor pretty much thinks I should be dead already. She's not happy with me. She doesn't think this is good for me. She thinks I need to be on a statin like yesterday. I'm very sure she doesn't know what a lean mass hyperresponder is. Yeah. And then my same thing, like with my in-laws. So we had a pretty deep conversation about it and she asked about my cholesterol. So I led with my triglycerides and HDL numbers, right? Because those are fantastic by any measure. But I'm like, yeah, my LDL just says like too high to measure. You have to figure it out by looking at the total and then subtracting the others. So it's like, I forget the number now. I had my blood work. It was like 6 months ago now. But yeah, over 400, my LDL. But I've never felt so much energy. I mean, I could eat some Oreos and bring it down, I guess, like Nick Norwitz did.
You had the big fluffy particles.
Yes,
And
I
those are
did.
the good ones. So.
Absolutely. So my doctor did not request that test, but after I came back with like the standard lipid panel, I was like, I'm just going to go to Own Your Labs and get that particle density test. They retest all your lipids again, like, cause it comes together like in a package.
Right, yeah.
So it was essentially, I mean, everything changes. It's so variable. That's the other thing, is that people think it's kind of like this fixed thing. It's pretty, I mean, so the numbers change a little bit, but like still lean mass hyperresponder, you know? But my LDL particles, like it was so, the small dense particles were so low because they give it to you on this graph. And on the left-hand side of the graph, is like the lowest, right? And then to the right gets higher. So there's like this little triangle that denotes where that is. So that little triangle was all the way to the left. Like if it was any lower, it would have fallen off the end of that graph. Yeah. And so I basically have very few small dense particles. Like they're all the big fluffy LDL particles, which are just happily transporting, you know, the fat around my body, because I'm my BMI, even with gaining a little bit of weight, my BMI is like 22. So awesome. It's just a low BMI thing. And you know, of course, and I didn't want to be one. It's not because I'm that worried about it, but it's because other people ask you, and you can't be this like, because you tell them that, and then they just think that I'm going to die. Like I'm going to die right in front of them. And so that's a whole nother thing. Yeah. So you're not going to convince anybody. You're not going to convince anybody with those numbers, unfortunately. So, but I feel great.
It's awesome. So for me on my channel, I get predominantly people that are just starting out on the carnivore journey. I'm not an active channel, but what advice would you give somebody if they were talking to you about starting the carnivore diet? And I know you probably get asked this question all the time. People hear it all the time, but for those people who, like I said, are watching my channel, they're usually just starting out. What advice would you give to somebody?
So I've gotten asked a few times, and I think it depends on like how severe your issues are, you know, but if your issues are not very severe, then it kind of depends on your personality. I am a let's rip the Band-Aid off. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like I'm not going to ease in. I'm not going to dip in my toe and then, you know, like that. I'm just going to jump in both feet, you know, do it. And so when yeah, that's just my personality, but I fully understand that other people are not like that. And so I ask that. And then if they say that they're a jump in with both feet person, then I say, that's great. You're going to probably experience some symptoms, right? And then I go through like keto flu, adaptation, electrolytes, make sure you're, you know, keeping up with those, but otherwise eat the meat. You're going to feel not very good, and it might take some weeks. You're going to be in the bathroom. Even though I went keto to carnivore, and really keto to ketovore to carnivore, like I jumped right into keto, but like carnivore was not a conscious decision. It was just kind of like this like slide that I just kind of did. I still had like 3 weeks of rapid, like I got to get to the bathroom right now. And the only reason I was able to stick to it was because it was summer vacation for me at that time. So, I mean, I could do that because I was home, right? Ooh, good question, Rich. So here's the thing. When I was keto, I still had sugar cravings, tons of them. And my husband doesn't eat this way with me, which is fine. He's a full-grown adult. He could do what he wants. But what I'm saying to that is that all that food is still in my house. And so when I was keto, you know, you look into keto and you see these recipes like fat bombs and all these things that like mimic, you know, desserts.
Yeah.
Yes. Which they're delicious. And I did them. I did like the cream cheese with the like cacao and the little bit of sweetener. And it's kind of like this chocolate cheesecake, and they're delicious. But then it's like, but that ice cream is in there. Now I didn't cheat. I didn't eat that stuff, but it would call my name. And even when those cravings started to go away, like the nuts were just a big one for me because nuts are allowed on keto, right? That nuts are fine. But then it was like one handful turned into the whole jar, like very quickly, very quickly. And that was before I knew about like oxalates too and all of that, right? Now it's like, I look at that stuff as no thanks. It's like poison, right? Is harming me more than it's helping.
Yeah.
But Rich, for me, what stopped the sugar cravings, and I did have them, was just being carnivore and sticking very strictly to it. So after a few months, I was like, there's ice cream in the freezer and I don't even care. Like, I don't want it. It's still in there. It's fine. Like, I don't think about it except when I have these conversations, but I don't want it at all. And so to me, it was just like, if you don't give in to the sugar cravings and eat a little sugar to try to, like, those bacteria in your gut that are the ones really wanting that sugar, and then the addictive pattern, in your brain, it will get better, or at least it did for me. Now, I'm not a doctor, right? And this is not medical advice, but I can speak to my own personal experience. And for me, it was getting rid of the last of the carbs. And I will say that I do my electrolytes. I do the ones, they do have a little bit of stevia. That doesn't trigger me. If it triggers you, then don't do it. Do the unflavored electrolytes. Like, some people do have to be that strict, But I stopped doing like the cream cheese. Like, I would do cream cheese and I'd put like the vanilla stevia drops in there and mix it because it's like, ooh, cheesecake, right? Like, I don't do that anymore. And then the cool part was so I had been carnivore from June to November, like Thanksgiving. And my aunt didn't know that I was carnivore, but she knew that I was keto, and my mom. And she brings the desserts. And so she made this like keto cheesecake. And I was like, I really don't want to hurt her feet. Like, she went out of her way because it was just for me and my mom. Like, nobody else is probably going to eat it, right? So she had used almond flour for the crust. So my aunt's the kind of person, she's not going to care if I don't eat the crust. She probably wouldn't have cared if I didn't have a piece, honestly, but she's awesome. So I ate the filling. So it was like eggs, cream cheese, and I think she used Swerve for the sweetener. So I cheated a little bit with keto on Thanksgiving. But guess what? I was fine because I hadn't done that in so long. It was like I had my one little sliver. It was delicious. I didn't take the rest home with me. I didn't want to. And that was it. I was done. Like, it was food freedom that I have never experienced, because before, if I had a little taste of something, that little gremlin just like comes out like, ooh, more. Like, what else is there?
That gremlin kicks my butt on a daily. It used to.
Yeah.
Sugar craving for me was a serious issue.
Yeah. So just for me, just staying strict for long enough, I think. And again, it's just happened, it's awesome. It's awesome to be somewhere. People bring donuts to like the staff room all the time, and I don't care. And they send an email like, there's donuts over here, like as if, like, to like let you know. And I'm like, yeah, fine. Like, I'm not even tempted to go in there and get some. I'm just not. I used to be, but.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So some people talking about coffee, somebody saying that they only have coffee. Where did I see that? In the morning, or what is that? In the morning or afternoon? I have coffee all day. So that's always a conversation. And somebody always says to me, well, cut out coffee. You're still having inflammation because of coffee, and you're still this and you're still that. And until I am fed up to the point that I no longer can handle the symptoms that coffee is probably giving me, I will continue to drink it. Like you say, you have to get to that point where there's a why. And as of right now, coffee is not bothering me enough, or really at all, that I need to cut it out. But I'm sure that it's probably causing some inflammation in my body. I
still do coffee too.
I mean, but there are some people out there that'll tell you don't do coffee, it's horrible for you. But like I've discovered with this whole carnivore thing, it is a journey for everybody, their own individual one. Like, I kind of fell sway to, in the beginning, everybody talking about how you don't need to track, you just eat intuitively. And yes, that actually worked for me. I ate until I felt full, I was losing weight, my inflammation was going away and stuff like that. But I have really bad ADHD or ADD. I have anxiety anxiety. I've got some other issues. And for me, I have to track. And when I started in the beginning, I was a big tracker because I need that. I need that. One of my friends called it a emotional support notebook, and I laugh at that because for me, I need to do that. So there's all of these different things, and I fell into that everybody's saying don't track, don't track, don't track, don't do that, and then I was derailing myself following all this advice. So for me, I just do what works for me, and coffee is working for me right now.
Yeah, so we haven't heard from you in a couple months. Like so you're tracking. So what does a day of eating look like for you? I'm curious.
Well, I still eat no more probably than 2 meals a day. I have been on carnivore this whole time. I have fallen off a couple with some snacks because I'll tell you what's getting me is when the kids have their fruit snacks. Those are hard for me to say no to. But I've had a couple instances where I maybe have grabbed one of those, but for the most part, I do eggs and a lot of eggs right now. Eggs are pretty cheap out here, and I'll go to Costco, or plus I have quail and they lay, obviously eggs. So I'll have a lot of eggs, and then I will typically either do bacon, or I have found some pretty clean sausages at my King Supers here. So I'll do that. And then the evening is almost always picanha, a ribeye steak, or hamburger patty. I've kind of fallen off of the ground hamburger, which was my big go-to for the longest time. Now, whenever I cook it, it kind of doesn't smell good to me for some reason. So I don't know if I just like, because people get like meat versions or that kind of stuff. But so that's what almost every day is. It's always eggs and some kind of meat. It's either going to be some bacon, a sausage patty, or sometimes a hamburger patty in the mornings, or it's usually around lunchtime. And then it's going to be, I'm still doing ribeye steaks, although I don't know how you can afford those things anymore. I also will do, like I said, I've been doing the picanha, and it's just meat.
So good.
So I'll cook up a whole picanha, and then I'll slice it all up, and then it goes in the refrigerator. I'll cut it into little bites sometimes.
Yes, picanha bites. That's what I do. It's so good.
That's it. And then there are days still to this day that I sometimes don't even want to eat at all. I'm not hungry. I'm not starving myself. I do track everything that I eat right now, and not because of weight, not because of anything, simply because it makes me feel okay to write everything down. And as I start removing things, because if you recall, for me, it was an elimination diet for me as a vegan, as a whole food plant-based vegan, and all of my health issues, it was elimination for me. So I'm going to assume that I'm going to stay carnivore forever. I know that I will never go back to the oxalates and stuff again because of my bladder and my kidneys. You and I have shared some of that.
Yeah, we have similar bladder stories.
I'm actually not on that medicine anymore. I haven't had to since I wasn't taking. Is it Elmeron or whatever it was? Whatever that, I wasn't taking that. I was doing a cocktail of Claritin and Pepsid AC twice a day, 2 pills, and it was controlling my symptoms along with something called flavovoxate, which is kind of like that stuff that makes you pee orange, but you don't pee orange. Anyways, I don't take any of that anymore. I don't eat all those oxalates anymore either. I don't do nuts. I don't do any kind of fruits or vegetables at all. Nothing. I just don't. Well, I guess if you say the fruit snack that I ate, but anyways, so for me, I know I veered off topic there. That's my day of eating is still boring as it can be. Like, I do not like chicken. I just don't. I will eat chicken thighs as long as they have the skin on, but they're not my favorite. I never go and say, chicken sounds great. I do like fish. I like salmon, but it has to be like buttery and just because I'll cook it too dry most often. And then pork. I like pork, but pork doesn't like me. Every time I cook it, I dry it out so bad. It's like eating a paper sack. I did finally get it to cook okay in my oven. I have an oven that you can put like a thermometer in it, and it cooks it to the right temperature. That is the only time I've ever been able to cook. But girl, I'm lazy. I don't want to go through all that. I just want to throw it in my air fryer, and then I'm done.
Put up what I do with pork is I do like the pork roast or pork shoulder and put it in the crock pot because there's no, like, you can't mess it up. Like, just put it on low, leave it in there, and then it just like
I
shreds
love
apart with a fork. It's super good. And my son loves those too. Now, you said boring, and I see Carrie in the comments saying my day of eating is boring too. And I would say that mine is boring 3. So that's 3 of us with other people looking from the outside. But like, I don't feel bored. And I think that's what's important. Like I ate picanha today, and guess what I'm gonna eat tomorrow? Picanha, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it. I'm not gonna be sick of it. I'm gonna be excited for it when I get hungry. And so that's
a
what's
lot of
so
salt. I like it. I mean, I put
yes,
a lot of salt on mine,
yes,
or
yes.
the smoked salt's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. So Veronica asked a question earlier about is it normal to gain weight at first? And I would say, Veronica, I was actually talking about that. I don't know when you popped in, but I was talking about how I gained weight at first, or not maybe right away, but I definitely put on some weight, and I just had to tweak my macros a little bit. So for some people, I think it's kind of that issue. For other people, if it's like you're really first starting, I know, like, I restricted calories so much, and I think a lot of us women come from a place of like counting calories or Weight Watchers or whatever, Slim Fast shakes. Remember those? Yeah, I did those.
Mhm.
And our metabolisms are so screwed up that when you finally give them, even if it's the right amount of like proper human diet food, your body's like, thank you, and it needs to hold on to some of that. And then
Plus
your
your
body,
digestion is slower and it sits in
yes,
your body for a few just the poop
yes,
talk, there's always a poop talk with carnivore.
always a poop talk. But yes, absolutely. And then what I've heard from others, Veronica, is they might gain around 10 pounds or so. Their body is healing. And then when their body is ready, it will like release that off. So I've just heard several people talking about that. My friend Alicia, her channel is The Baroness of Beef, went through that. She looks fantastic now. I didn't do it right away, but I think like my fat, for my own personal physiology, I think my fat had crept up a little bit too high because I could eat. I can eat all the ribeyes, and all I did was switch to picanha, which is a lot leaner than a ribeye, but I eat as much as I, feel like eating until I am full. I'm satisfied with my big plate of picanha. And like I had said earlier, I lost like 8 pounds in the last, 3.5 weeks or so. So it may be like a macro issue. You got to find the right balance for
Mhm.
you, or it may be that your body is healing, but I wouldn't panic. Like the reason I didn't panic after all those years of dieting and gaining weight and being so afraid to gain weight and all of that is because, like I said, the other benefits, the non-scale victories are insane. And I wasn't going to give those up. So I was going to figure out the weight some kind of way. But I wasn't going to give up my carnivore way of eating because, like, all the other mental health, I had brain fog like you would not believe. My mental clarity is now on point. I don't, teaching can be exhausting, and I can, I was doing the physical fitness test last week with my students because I teach 5th grade, and in California they have to do a bunch of stuff like run a mile and stuff. So it was push-up test day, and I got down there and demonstrated the push-ups. And the kids were like, whoa, she's good, and you have to do them on your toes. We're not talking modified push-ups here. Everybody does them on their toes. And so it's just stuff like that I could never do before. And then I come home and I'm not like done. Like I used to come home and just be done. Like I'm on the couch, nobody talk to me, I'm closed. Yeah, I'm not closed anymore. I might sit down for a little while, but then I'll come on a live like this, or I'll whatever. I'll get up and like clean the house or like do all the stuff that I would never do before. Or like I said, I go on this like sunset walk now that's 4 miles. And I don't feel tired. And so I wasn't willing to give like all of that up because I was going to go back to some sad diet of like restricting and counting calories, because that didn't work. I tried it for 30 years.
Right.
So
And I can say, I mean, like I was saying earlier, I've been MIA from YouTube for a while, not because there's anything wrong, but I actually have the energy to take on home improvement projects that I'm doing myself. I'm out there with a saw, I'm doing all this stuff. I couldn't have done that back in, no matter of fact, I couldn't get off my couch back in July of last year. And so for me, those non-scale victories, they mean more to me. Like I say, if I never lost another pound, and I had lost 47 pounds, and I still have quite a bit to go, but if I never lost another pound again, and I just had that no more brain fog and the arthritis pain and all that gone away, and that in itself would be just amazing. But we are actually getting close to the end of our hour. It's time's just been flying. It's just been so fun to talk to you. But I do want to ask, what do you have going on with your channel coming up? I mean, yeah, I hear you got some sponsors and any new collaborations.
yeah.
Your channel. If you guys, anybody
So,
who hasn't subscribed, you need to go check out her channel. She's absolutely amazing, and she is the sweetest human being I think you will ever. So, but yes,
you,
tell us
Kat.
about your channel.
So I started my channel because, as you could probably tell by my story, I'm not that person with the awesome pictures. Like I saw Dustin in the chat. I don't know if he's still here. Like you look at his before and after pictures and you're like, I'm going to go keto now, right? Because you can see the weight loss, right? And he looks, so much better. You can see that in pictures. And they do say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, I lost 20 pounds. Like it's not this insane amount of weight where you just go, whoa, that's amazing, right? And let's be real, a lot of people, they come to this for the weight loss and maybe that's what's going to get them in, right? But I started my channel because I couldn't even believe how much better I was doing. Refer to the earlier in the video for that because I talked a lot about that. But yeah, rewind it and go back if you didn't hear that part. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. And I was just like, people have to know this, and people have to know that it's not just weight loss. Like there's so much other stuff that goes along with this. And so, yeah, I started a channel, like, what the heck am I even doing? Right. But I didn't know. And I learned how to edit, and I'd never turned on a camera. I had never pushed record on a camera.
I never would. No.
Serious, because if someone was going to do it, it's my husband. Right. So that big red button, I didn't know what that was for on my phone, Well, here I am, recording. I've purchased microphones, and yeah, I'm cooking for people on videos and like whatever. But I actually love it. I actually love it. And that now it's like, my part-time, I don't know. It's just, I'm not making much money at it yet, but, or who knows if I ever will.
Labor of love right now.
Yeah, it's a labor of love right now to let people know. And also because the carnivore and keto communities are fantastic. Like I have so many new friends, and this is how I haven't talked to you in a while, and I was like, let's go on a live so I could talk to my friend Kat, because that's kind of how we can like connect again. And so that's kind of why I made my channel. My favorite thing on my channel is a show that we call Lioness Lifestyle Live. I am not the only host. It is myself and Ellie with Nourishment Redacted as her channel. We've had a couple of other hosts. We've had a couple kind of come and go, but our third host right now is her name is Adrienne, and she's a former Biggest Loser contestant who tried everything from like gastric bypass to Biggest Loser and was never able to keep weight off until carnivore. So she is our third host, and she is absolutely fantastic. So every single Tuesday, what we do is we bring on a guest. And Kat knows because she was a guest just a few weeks ago. So if you haven't seen that episode, go catch that with Kat. But yeah, we have on a different guest that talks about, their health journey. And everybody has different, reasons for doing this, for staying on this, kind of different ways of doing this and what have you. And so, yeah, every Tuesday we have a different guest. I have not missed a Tuesday. You guys, I may or may not be there this Tuesday. Watch anyways. Here's why. Here's why. I mean, the episode will go on. I'm going to try to get there. My son that went keto 2.5 months ago for his ADHD, which Kat, this will warm your heart. He's doing fantastic. Wonderful. I mean, his ADHD symptoms are much improved.
Well,
But anyways,
the ADHD, I don't know, we may have had this conversation before, but many years ago, my oldest boy has autism, and there was a book out called Special Diets for Special Kids. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that, but the treatment for autism and ADHD was high fat diets. So interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's so true. And I mean, we tried everything else, and I mean everything else. I mean, counseling, medication, all of it. And I was anti-medication, but I'm like, we got to do something because it was bad. But anyway, yeah, nothing helped until this. So I'm very happy. But he was at a friend's house and he stubbed his toe like super hard, like it shoved the toenail back into the nail bed. And he told me about it when he did it. And I, whatever. I was like, oh, it's a stub toe, like whatever. Well, on Friday, he goes, are you busy? And I was like, why? He shows me his toe and it's like infected. And the toenail hasn't grown one iota. The rest of the toenails, look like because he doesn't trim his toenails like he should.
The whole thing, obviously.
And that one is still all like short because it got pushed back and it hasn't grown. And now the toe is clearly infected.
Ugh.
So I took him to urgent care and they didn't want to do anything on an infected toe. So they had to put him on antibiotics for that infection. But if it hasn't improved by Tuesday, which this was late Friday night, I really don't think it's going to improve that much by Tuesday. I have to take him back so they can remove the toenail. That's where I will be on Tuesday, you guys. I think that's I'm very sorry, but I think that's a good reason to miss the show.
Though, that they get that infection cleared up first, because I had that happen to me almost verbatim. And again, ADHD over here too, so maybe it's us. And they gave me antibiotics and we assumed that it was completely gone, and they pulled the toenail, but because of the infection that wasn't completely cleared up, the toe would not numb completely. It was literal torture. They ripped my toenail off and it was not numb. And I can tell you, I just make sure that I don't mean to scare you, and don't let him hear that. It'd probably be perfectly fine for him. But I had let mine go for so long that the infection was like really
his went for weeks, because he told me the day that it happened, and I didn't think it was, he's a boy. I was like, okay, well, it'll probably be fine. And then it just slowly got infected. Now it's super painful to the touch. Like you touch the toe and he's like,
You go on it.
Yes. And I'm like, dude. And he goes, well, you said it would get better. And I was like,
boys, I'm not getting better.
So anyway, I'm sorry I went off on that bunny trail, but that's where I'll be on Tuesday, and I'm going to try to get home in time, but if I don't, I don't. And but my other two ladies will be there. We have an awesome guest. She's actually a free diver who eats carnivore. Like she does the free diving, and it's very interesting. I'm sad if I have to miss it, but yes, so be looking out for that.
Yeah, cows come first.
Yeah. So yes, the kid comes first. Absolutely. So that's my favorite thing. I did a recent video that called Plants as Medicine, because why would a carnivore need a plant? Well, Laura Russell, who's a nurse, she, uses plants for their medicinal, properties, I guess. And so I just wanted to pick her brain. And so she told a lot about different plants and like their antibiotic properties and how she uses them. Like she doesn't eat them, but like puts them on wounds or things like that. Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of stuff we're used to.
Yeah. And so she talked about all of that. I was just interested in learning because I don't know anything about that. That was really good. And just, I have a few videos that I filmed yesterday because I do have a couple sponsors now. So I did film a Porking Good pork rind. I used some of their pork rind, and I used them before. If you've watched any of my cooking videos, I'm always putting the pork rind crumbs in for breading or what have you, binding or whatever. And so, I'm excited about that. And then keto chow, I'm excited about that too for my son, because he was like, I'll go keto if like we could figure out my ice cream, because it'll be very hard to give up my ice cream. And I've tried. And yeah, every ice cream I've tried for him has been a fail. And so, yeah, we're going to try. I'm like, I feel so bad, but he stuck to it. He did not. It's been like, 2 months and then 3 weeks now into this month. So good for him. But yes, if this keto chow ice cream is a success, I'm going to be very happy. So it's kind of cool to see, companies kind of, value what I'm doing, and it's just
That's
kind of, it's
awesome.
kind of cool. So
Be
that's
very
kind of
proud.
what's going on.
And do you have any upcoming videos or anything super exciting that's happening? But just besides the fact that your channel and you are awesome in general, but anything to specifically point out?
Yeah, so I'm getting a patch of grass back in my backyard. I know that sounds weird to say, but we took all the grass out. Like we had the whole front yard, the whole back. It was all grass when we moved in here, and we kept it for a long time. And eventually, we took it all out because I live in California, and water is very, very expensive. And we put in a bunch of like rocks and mulch. Well, recently I've been looking into, grounding and the benefits of grounding. And I know that when I go out with my bare feet, like I instantly just kind of feel calmer. And I wanted to be able to do that. And my husband, although he doesn't eat this way with me, had also, like, separately from me, heard about grounding. And he came to me and was like, I'm going to put I had mentioned grounding, but I didn't ask for anything. And he was like, I'm going to put a patch of grass back in the backyard for you so you can do that. So I'm super excited and I've had people say, like, I did a little short about it, and people were like, not to be rude, but can't you just ground like on the ground? And I'm like, yes, you can. But what's out there is a bunch of wood chips, which are very uncomfortable to stand in. It's not like it's, soft dirt or something, that feels good on the feet. And then the other part is lava rock, which again, I don't want to stand on.
That'll hurt, right.
Right. So I'm excited about that. So I filmed this morning I'm going to make a video of the project. It's a little project, but yeah, I filmed the area this morning. Tomorrow the grass is going in. It's sod though, so I have to wait like 3 weeks. My husband's like, you can't stand on it for 3 weeks because it has to root. And I'm like, okay. He'll be very upset if I move that sod around by standing on it. So I'll be patient. But yes, I want to go out there, like bring my weights out there, when I do my squats or whatever, with my weights, and go do that outside while grounding. I'm very excited about it. So yeah, you'll see a little video about that. And
Awesome. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I feel really good when I put my feet on the ground. So I think there's something to it.
I do believe that there is. We have out here in Colorado, it's doing this thing where it got really warm and all the grass came in and all the trees budded up, and I took out my fig trees and everything, even though I'm not going to eat them. My daughter still likes to eat all the figs off the fig tree. And then I woke up and came down the stairs, and the entire everywhere was covered in snow. So apparently Colorado likes to play jokes on you. But
yeah.
So hopefully my grass survives. But in any case, we have actually gone over, and I know you're going to go sit on your couch. And
I have some video editing to do. I filmed like 4 videos yesterday, and now I need to go edit them all.
I need to put. I have so much footage. I've just been filming everything, and I just keep filming it. But like I said, there's nothing going on health wise for me. I have just been feeling so good that I'm just hammering away, and just these projects, so they take a life of their own. And I thought about even maybe putting some of that out.
I was going to say, you got to put that out. I want to see.
Nobody wants to see me remodel my bathroom.
I want to see it.
I'll have to put some of it in there because I have a very weird personality, or like a style. So we'll have to see what people think about it. But I've just been super, super busy. But I'm going to go ahead and let you go decompress on your couch. I appreciate so much that you came on and that you were my first video back.
Yay! Thanks for having me. This was fun. It flew by.
I'm always talking to you, Des. So I'm going to go ahead and pop you backstage real quick, tie this up, and then we'll talk a little bit more before you go sit on your couch.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And wonderful that I'm back, and that my first interview back was Christy. She's just so amazing. She's so sweet. I hope that everybody got something out of this video. I'm hoping to be able to get them started back up again now that some of these remodeling projects have finally started to calm down. I have all these ideas, but anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you all. And until next time, eat your meat.